Hi, it's Tony Marino, host of the super popular Newsmax Daily podcast, a rundown of the day's top headlines and top highlights of Newsmax shows and interviews you may have missed, plus some sports, stock markets, and even some yucks, all packed into about 20 minutes. Search for the Newsmax Daily with me, Tony Marino, on your favorite podcast platform, and check out our entire lineup of great podcasts, including Greg Kelly, Rob Carson, and Jerry Callahan at newsmax.com/listen.
Hold it now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
This is the Rob Carson Show. It is the second show of the new year. It is the 6th of January, 2026. I must have been bad last year because I asked Santa for a slow news day. Haven't had one yet. And you know what? Actually, I'm kind of loving it because the news is good. The news is good and the news is bad for the Democrat Party and the corrupt, intellectually and morally bankrupt left in this country. Remarkable times we live in, and there is much to get to on the show today. But I sometimes like to start the show with good news, so I think that should go without exception today.
We love to win. Winning, so much winning. It's lots of winning. It's oh so good.
Yeah, here's some good news for all you guys who still clutch the Wall Street Journal under your armpit and then read it and then, keep it in your bathroom.
Stocks soaring today following the arrest and capture of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro.
Hold on. Stocks are soaring like it's almost $50,000. The Dow Jones is almost $50,000. Oh, my God, are you kidding me? That's impossible because the tariffs are going to destroy the economy. Oh, my God. And I guess oil prices also didn't go up yesterday, too, even though Donald Trump went in and got Nicolas Maduro.
Jumping 600 points, an intraday all-time high, a record closing high. It looks like just shy of 49,000. And it was the first time that it traded above 49,000 in the trading session. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ both up 0.7%. A big gain for the Russell 2000, up 1.5% in this Monday trade.
Yeah, good news to the Russell 2000. Because all of my stocks in the Russell 2000 certainly are. I don't even know what the hell the Russell 2000 is, to be quite honest. Is it a big deal? I know there's 2,000 of them. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. So there you go. Wrong again, everybody. Wrong again. What did I predict last year? I said that the good news was going to be so loud and so overwhelming. The leftist media in this country could not even lie enough to cover it up. And look what's happening already. Where's affordability? I don't know. Maybe it's another face plant because the Democrat Party has moved on to the next thing. What's the next thing? Donald Trump went in and illegally started a war for oil. It's not a war. There was a warrant out for Nicolas Maduro's arrest, for God's sake. There was a $50 million bounty on his head. There was a $25 million bounty on his head when Joe Biden was the president. But Joe Biden he had pudding for brains, and he made poopies in his pants when he went to bed, right before he went to bed at like 10 a.m. And he was ineffectual as a leader. And so he wasn't able to get it done. And the only reason the Democrat Party hates that Donald Trump removed Nicolas Maduro from power was because they weren't able to do it because they're a bunch of meows, little kitties, just little kitties. That's what they are. Here's some more good news. You'd think with the victory with regard to socialism in cities like New York City and Seattle, Washington, which are already descending into the pits of hell, you would think that people would be, just driving into New York City to become new residents and take advantage of the largesse and the free buses, which went up to $3 yesterday. And the rent-controlled housing. Something that all of us dream of. Honestly, the American dream. Isn't it about free buses and rent-controlled housing and public housing? Isn't that what we all have always wanted? No, of course not. That's just absolutely ridiculous. That's why so many people are leaving all of the states that espouse this government largesse. The company U-Haul, which I actually use to haul my studio, you're watching me on right now, behind my Bronco buck across the country. They report that more people are leaving California than any other state. What is Eden on earth? My God, there's wineries there. It's beautiful. You could drive along the ocean shore, whatever the hell that road is out there, Ventura Highway. I think the Eagles did a song about it. It's a great place to live, right? No, because Democrats have made it into hell on earth. And Gavin Newsom has made it into hell on earth. Yeah, California has the highest income tax in America, 13.3%. They're blocking Trump's working family tax cuts, denying workers real money back in their pockets. Same thing's going on in New York, by the way. The tax on tips is not extending to New York taxes for people who are tipped. And I kind of wonder, there's a lot of things you can tip. There's a lot of things you can get tipped on, and I'm wondering if Jim Gossett's Patreon page will be tax-free for him, because you're technically kind of tipping him. It's not really a subscription. You're tipping him. Understand? You know. A lot of ways you can be tipped, right? Seriously. Car thefts are plummeting as President Donald Trump's official crackdown on illegal immigration and their intermittent theft rings. What? Murder rate all-time low? Crime plummeting around the world, or around the country, I should say, in Washington, D.C. I moved here about 5 months ago. 2 weeks later, Donald Trump brought in the National Guard, and people in even bad neighborhoods, even Anacostia, can go out and sit on their stoop and let their kids play in the street and ride their bikes without getting shot. It's weird. It's just crazy how it works when you actually enforce the laws and stuff. Between January and October 2025, 324,000 cars were reported stolen. That's a 23% drop over the 421,791 stolen cars reported in 2024 when Pudding for Brains was the president. Yeah. Apparently, it's a lot of these international car theft rings done by illegal immigrants that came in the country when Joe Biden was the president. Yeah. ICE announced a 12-count indictment that took down a group of stealing cars, then packing them into shipping containers that were sent to outside countries. The investigation recovered over 350 stolen vehicles. The 8 charged, listen to these names. They all sound like they could be, I don't know, Jewish or something. Haydar al-Hadani of Garden City, Michigan. Kayar Anashkash. I don't think they're Jewish. Abbas al-Othman of Dearborn Heights, Dearborn, where they have a major radical Islam problem. Mohammed al-Hilo and Mustafa al-Fatwallah, blah, 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 blah. And let me see, Mohammed al-Budabada of Detroit. They were all indicted. A Mexican national in the U.S. illegally was charged in McAllen, Texas, for running a car theft ring. Angel David Salas Herrera was caught trying to export stolen cars out of the U.S. A similar investigation shut down a car theft ring in Arizona. Department of Public Safety announced the arrests of these foreign nationals, recovery of 29 vehicles. Dallas, Texas, 1 citizen, 2 migrants were arrested for running an auto theft ring. The 3 were caught operating a VIN number switching scheme in which they replaced VIN tags on stolen cars with tags recovered from a salvage yard. That's how they were doing it. Isn't that crazy? Car theft's notoriously hard to prosecute because law enforcement resources are too thin to cover the labor-intensive paperwork. But there's some more good news. I know it's kind of crazy, right? It's amazing what happens when you have a president who doesn't have pudding for brains. It's kind of crazy, isn't it? But the Democrat Party marches on. The Democrat Party marches on, spinning and twisting into hell.
We now live in a country where one of the 2 major political parties in this country doesn't stand for anything.
Rob Kennedy.
Think about that. Democrats don't stand for anything, and they are proving that once again tonight, because Democrats all across the country are suddenly on Nicolas Maduro's side.
Of all the things, and I mean, listen, think about how crazy it is to support a man who increased the poverty rates, 90+% poverty in Venezuela, 130,000% inflation, the second most corrupt country, the most dangerous country in the world, a place where 8 million residents fled, where people were eating their pets because they didn't have enough to eat. The national currency is worth nothing. He puts people in prison, political prisons, and assassinates them. He is a communist dictator thug, and the Democrat Party, like they always do, have fallen in love with him like crazy cat ladies do death row inmates.
The dictator, narco-terrorist, cartel boss, and we just want...
But other than that, he's great. He's a Virgo. He's a cat person, which is fantastic.
To point this out before we go any farther, but...
He, like Sonny, walks on the beach before he puts bullets in the back of his opponent's heads on the beach and buries them in the sand.
If your first instinct when you get up in the morning is to be on the dictator, terrorist side...
Yeah.
Just so you can oppose...
You're mentally ill.
Donald Trump, it's probably time to rethink your political views a little bit.
Woo, I said this. If the Democrat Party of today and the leftist media of today were around in World War II, they would have been mourning the suicide of Adolf Hitler and blaming the FDR for it. It's like, FDR, he had a perfectly fine life, and he had no choice, and he had to kill his girlfriend and then kill himself.
But that is the Democrat Party of today.
Yes.
Democrats would rather leave a violent dictator who is flooding our country with drugs and killing his own people in power instead of supporting anything that this White House does. So,
I know, and this is why you should celebrate every day. And I know it's hard. You get upset and you're like, oh my God, they're out marching these. Oh, and by the way, all of these marches around the country, they have the same signs and everything. Now it's the buds off the rose. We knew it was happening when, the big Elon Musk is a Nazi protests were happening. And then, of course, he left Doge and suddenly he wasn't a Nazi anymore. I mean, it's so beyond stupid. But now it's just transparently incredibly stupid. And you should, instead of being all frustrated and angry about this, you should just laugh because everybody gets this. This is becoming an 80-20 country. I told you before the election, 80% of us believe the country was headed in the wrong direction. 80% of us can come together to save her. Then, of course, all these 80-20 issues started happening, and now this is another 80-20 issue. There are 20% of these jackasses, including the Democrat Party principals and these morons doing these marches. They're the 20, and guess what? They don't mean D word for Richard. They really don't. So that's why I'm here to malign them and ridicule them and make fun of them. That's what I'm going to do. And also provide you with some, cutting edge opinion and whatnot and great guests, which we'll tell you about very shortly. This, my friends, is the Rob Carson Show. Back in a few.
Yes, they have no Maduro. They have no Maduro today. They bombed him and grabbed him. The CIA nabbed him. In handcuffs he was hauled away. Maduro has been indicted, and Venezuelans are excited because they have no Maduro. And they thank the U.S. of A. Nicholas has been captured. His freedom's been taken away. Maduro is so vile, his wife will stand trial. We are gonna make them pay. Yes, they have no Maduro. They have no Maduro today. Liberal heads, they're exploding. Their tiny brains are imploding. Trump has a mandate the media hates. Living in a MAGA wonderland. Lefties filled with dejection since they lost the election. Got beat really bad and now they are sad, living in a MAGA wonderland. Mark Kelly is gonna be indicted. Seditious six, as nervous as can be. Trouble for themselves, they all invited. Their careers will soon be history. Chris Wray's future is so dire. Jerome Powell, Trump will fire. And the deep state make America great, living in a MAGA wonderland, thriving in a MAGA wonderland, winning in a MAGA wonderland. Somalis are all on welfare, and the Dems just seem to not care. Ilhan Omar, she needs to go. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO. Many are anti-Semitic. Their statements have been pathetic. They're a threat to all you know. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO. They are always expressing hate of America. Why are they here? Must deport before it's too late. Talk about holiday cheer. Our language, they will not learn it. Own money, refuse to earn it. They are gaming the system so. GTFO, GTFO, GTFO.
The Rob Carson Show podcast is everywhere. Go to newsmax.com/listen for details.
This was an illegal, unconstitutional regime change effort. This is about taking over and running another country.
This is illegal. It's unjustified.
Clearly, this is wildly illegal. This is a president who has been operating illegally since he was sworn into office, stealing from the American people.
This is the worst form of gunboat diplomacy that proceeds to create a lot of problems for the United States.
Sucks to be you. Joe Biden could have done when he was the president, even though the reward was still $25 million.
United States.
The reality is that,
You just hate that. When Donald Trump does stuff like this, it makes you look like complete morons.
To fund these operations, to fund nation building, they need the approval of Congress, right? And so they're going
they don't
have to come to us when it comes to funding all of these things, or do more illegal.
Now let's come to a Congress that is absolutely radically opposed to Donald Trump and wanted to put him in prison. Let's try to run him by them. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Here's Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, saying that this isn't about regime change. You know why? Just let me explain it to you real quick. Maduro was a fugitive. There was a reward on his head for crimes against the United States of America. When we went and got him, which is what anyone would do if they were going to get a reward, they left his regime in place. His vice president is still in charge.
This is not a regime change. This is a demand for change of behavior by a regime. The interim government is stood up now.
I would not bleep around with Donald Trump.
And we are hopeful that they will be able to correct their action. They cannot participate with narco-terrorists and very dangerous international criminal organizations that harm and target Americans.
And if you do continue that, you will get a Patriot colonoscopy.
Frankly. And traffic all of these dangerous drugs into our country that do all this great harm to our country. They cannot continue that activity.
Yeah, because they've been doing that crap for a long time. In fact, here's Pam Bondi talking about the many things that Maduro did that Democrats, suddenly are supporting, by the way. They support this guy.
That this monster released countless defendants, prisons, insane asylums into our country. It's not just about drugs. The president saved thousands, countless lives, tonight, saved countless lives with the drug trade, but he also protected Americans from the TDA members who Maduro let into our country.
Yeah, there were a lot of gang members who came in. That's why we know Trinidad Aragua. And now we know that, apartment complexes in California and blocks in New York City were basically run by Trinidad Aragua. They all came from Venezuela because Joe Biden let them in.
Forced into our country, opened his jails, opened the insane asylums to come into our country.
He did.
Look at Laken Riley.
Oh, yeah.
Look at Claretha Daniels. Look at Jocelyn Nungray.
Yeah.
All of them killed by TDA members. It's horrific, and it is going to stop. Donald Trump said he will make America safe again, and he stood by his word.
Yeah. And they were making America unsafe, and they were causing the death of many Americans. But don't tell that to a bunch of losers on a CNN panel.
Nothing that happened this past weekend is making the lives of Americans better. Right, and if you want to talk about drugs, which is a huge problem, by the way.
This is just, okay, listen to this. He says drugs are a huge problem. Now listen to this.
A huge problem. It's devastating, and it's destroying our communities and our children.
Sure, and?
It's fentanyl that's largely driving.
Okay.
Not, not cocaine, largely, but fentanyl.
Yeah.
And fentanyl does not...
the cocaine. What the hell? What's wrong with cocaine? They ought to make it illegal, for God's sake. Heroin. I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, honestly, it was not making America any safer. Tell that to Laken Riley's family.
From the time Trump's been in office, deaths by overdose have dropped off a cliff. Look at that. Look at 2024.
What?
And leading into 2020.
Well, how's that possible?
Just look at down. These are all...
That's bad. He's putting drug dealers out of business.
Deaths from overdoses. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Like, look at that. From all drugs, which is the top one, look at that drop.
Wow.
I mean, that's crazy.
But honestly, only fentanyl is bad. Cocaine and heroin are perfectly fine.
Crazy. So you see the peak was in 2022.
Yeah.
Or
when Joe Biden had opened the southern border.
It looks like actually 2023.
And they didn't say a damn thing about any of that nonsense.
Between 2023 and 2024. That's the peak where people are dying. And then from the time Trump's in office, it's taking a fucking sharp downturn. And why is that? Well, part of it is because they're blowing up these boats that are bringing in all the drugs.
Yeah. But other than that, it's not safer to be in America. And people on the chat are saying, "Hey, what's that thing in the corner there on the live stream?" That's a video clip I'm going to play here right now because it's kind of weird. All these protests have been showing up all over the country, and suddenly the Democrat Party and the left love them some dictators, and they love them some Nicolas Maduro, but they also loved free Palestine, hated Elon Musk, and were convinced that Donald Trump was a king.
Back to the developing story involving the detaining of the Venezuelan president. All across the country and right here in Grand Rapids, protesters gathered.
Yeah, Grand Rapids. It's a big thing in Grand Rapids to be for Nicolas Maduro.
To oppose the military action in Venezuela. And one of those protests took place right here in Rosa Parks Circle this afternoon.
Old Rosa Parks Circle in Grand Rapids.
13 on your sides, Peter Elliott joins us now. Peter,
Peter.
What was this scene like?
What was it like there, Peter?
Lauren, there were dozens of protesters.
Oh, my God, dozens of people in Grand Rapids.
In attendance this afternoon. It was organized.
They all had the same signs that the people in Seattle had, and the people in Chicago had, and the people in New York had, and the people in San Francisco had.
Response to the attack by Grand Rapids opponents of war. Many brought flags and signs.
Grand Rapids opponents of war. That's a big anti-war movement in Grand Rapids that no one has heard of before.
Anti-war message was loud and clear.
It's not war. It wasn't war. We're not in a war.
After the United States attacked Venezuela and captured the country's president, Nicolas Maduro, the message from dozens of
he's a newscaster. He didn't say Nicolas Maduro.
Protesters in downtown Grand Rapids was clear. The demonstrators gathering near Rosa Parks Circle on Saturday afternoon.
No blood for oil! No blood for
Oh, this is just getting tedious. I mean, it really is. It's just getting tedious. And this will be happening for a few weeks, and then they're going to find the next thing that Donald Trump does that they hate and is making America safer and better and all of that. It is really become, it's a glorious time to be a political satirist. It really, really is. I've been doing this a long time, and damn, this is the golden age, people. Doug Burns is going to join us, former federal prosecutor, to talk about Nicolas Maduro and the trial that is coming. Stick around. My nightly ritual now is a little ice, a little vanilla yogurt, banana, a little milk, and a scoop of chocolate brownie Beams Dream Powder in the blender. A little while later, I hit the sack and I sleep until sunrise. It's amazing. These days, everything moves so fast, and it certainly can mess with your sleep schedule. That's why I'm here to tell you about Beams Dream Powder. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients, including reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. I've been using Beams Dream Powder for a year now, and I can honestly say I feel sharper, calmer, and more focused, and I'm not alone. Beam has improved over 28 million nights of sleep for people across the country. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax. Use code Newsmax and take advantage of my exclusive offer for 40% off. You can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. So seriously, think about it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax today. Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. You know, I saw an ad for Relief Factor a while back, and I saw a guy literally in tears with how he talked about the pain that he was experiencing was gone. It happened to me too. I started it taking a few months ago. My hip was really bothering me, and I wondered, because I'm the age of, replacement of joints and whatnot, if it could be better. And I started taking Relief Factor, and it healed. It's a 100% drug-free, research-based formula created to help your body's natural inflammatory response, the same one that causes everyday aches and pains from aging, exercise, overexertion, and just normal living. It helped me with my hip, my neck, my shoulders, all the places that remind you you're not 25 anymore. Relief Factor supports a healthy response to inflammation, helping you stay active and keep those joints and muscles feeling good. It's made with 4 key ingredients: omega-3 fatty acids, resveratrol, curcumin, and icariin, each one helping from a different angle. You can start with the 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's less than a cup of coffee a day. So if you're tired of creaking like an old floorboard every time you move, give Relief Factor a try. Go to ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com and feel the difference. Relief Factor, because getting out of bed shouldn't count as a workout.
Winning and winning and never losing. Results that drive Nancy Pelosi to boozing. Chris Christie choking on buffalo wings. These are my favorite conservative things. Gas prices falling, inflation dropping. To our momentum, there is no stopping. An end to 8 wars, what joy that brings. These are a few of my favorite things. Reducing spending, securing the border, restoring faith in law and order, arresting a punk at a no kings. These are my favorite conservative things. When Chuck Schumer makes me nauseous, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember we're bombing drug folks, and that I don't feel so bad.
The West was thrilled when the United States under Barack Obama went after Osama bin Laden and killed him. Remember, they could easily have captured him and brought him to the United States and put him on trial, but they killed him. This was a kill operation. And it was not because he was dangerous. Osama bin Laden was killed for revenge, because what he did was a horrible, horrible thing, killing all of those people. If that was lawful, this can go after anybody anywhere in the world who has been indicted when the country won't bring them up for extradition. What Israel has done is the same thing. If you have people endangering your country from abroad, they don't have sanctuary, whether they're the president of the country or the head of a terrorist group, or in this case, both. The apprehension and bringing him to New York was entirely legal, number one. Number two, even if it was illegal, the Supreme Court has held repeatedly that that doesn't impact the jurisdiction of the court to try him and hold him accountable for crimes he committed against the United States.
Yeah, and then also if it's a war, then there would be a war, and if there were a regime change, then the regime would have changed, you see. The vice president's in charge. She's the next person in charge, you see. So the regime hasn't changed. But I will tell you, they'd better change or they're going to get a Patriot colonoscopy. Joining us on the Newsmax hotline for the first time in 2026, one of our favorite guests, former federal prosecutor Doug Burns. Doug Burns, welcome to the Rob Carson Show. How are you, brother?
Good, thank you.
Well, here we go. We got a trial coming up here with Maduro on trial in New York. He is pleading not guilty, of course. What are your thoughts on the trial upcoming, the charges, and the caterwauling by the left that Donald Trump is doing a war for oil and regime change?
Yeah, it's remarkable.
Yeah.
That time and time and time again, they just come right out over their ski tips criticizing him. I mean, if you were teaching a logic course, think about it, in a university, and you would say, here's the anecdotal study we're going to do. Yeah. Mr. X is going to make 100 different moves. Well, if some sample group is going to criticize every single one of the 100, just willy-nilly, you know there's no validity to it. Now, I want to work off Professor Dershowitz because there's a really key legal principle here, and I think the listeners will find it interesting. Mark Rich was a big, big international fugitive. We all know the name, primarily because President Clinton, in a very, very controversial pardoned him. But he was in Switzerland, living somewhat openly, but he was a fugitive from U.S. justice. There was an indictment pending. And in the early 90s, and I know this because some lawyers I know were involved, Mark Rich wanted to meet with those lawyers, and he was worried about being kidnapped. Why was he worried about being kidnapped? Very simple, because of a case by the name of U.S. versus Alvarez Machine, and that's what Professor Dershowitz was referring to. In Alvarez Machine, he was a physician who kept Kiki Camarena alive brutally so they could torture him more. He was the DEA agent who was murdered, Kiki Camarena. And the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that a forcible seizure, a kidnapping, even where the country has an extradition treaty, does not defeat jurisdiction in the U.S. federal court, and the case can go forward to trial. That case is squarely on point on this situation with Maduro, and they're going to get no relief, zero, claiming that he was kidnapped. Okay. The other claim they're going to make, real quick, and I know you know this, is head of state immunity, but you've heard a lot of experts. And I read about two law professors, which was interesting, and both of those professors calmly explained that where the U.S. government doesn't recognize the individual as a valid leader of the country, that doctrine's not going to apply. Now let me go a little inside baseball. I know Judge Alvin Hellerstein. How do I know him? I tried a case in front of him. It was a very interesting trial. Don't need to get into what it was, but he's a good judge. He's straightforward. You know, the stuff about, he's left-leaning and he was appointed by Democrats, that's fair. And the other point about he's 92 years old is also fair. But all of my friends and colleagues say he's still, quite sharp. And I think it'll be a fair trial. He's not going to give any big, huge, favors or dispensations to the defense, is my point, Rob.
Well, he's going to get a fair trial, which is more than he's given many of the people who have spoken out against him, for God's sake. I mean, he's going to go to prison for the rest of his life.
No question.
Okay. And I was just curious, immediately people were saying, why didn't he go to Gitmo? But if you want to look at an administration that is going by the book on these prosecutions. I don't think there's any doubt that this was by the book. They had their I's dotted and their T's crossed on this one.
Well, here's the thing, which it also, I'm very pleased to be able to sort this out for everybody. Right away they characterize it as a military action, a war action. That's very convenient for their narrative that, he needs congressional approval.
Yes.
Take all of that and throw it right out the window. It's not a military action. The man was indicted. I think some of the listeners will be surprised to hear. He was indicted in 2020 in the Southern District of New York 6 years ago. There was a warrant out for his arrest. You saw just the unbelievable manifestation of hypocrisy when conservative cable, to their credit, last night showed Biden, saying this guy's a horrible terrorist and we're putting a $25 million bounty on him. Now they have the audacity, Chuck Schumer, to look in a camera and object to it. Would you kidding me? And by the way, the American public knows this. Come on, they're not fooling anybody, okay? So you can take Hakeem Jeffries and all these people. The reality is they were very much against Maduro. He was a vicious, violent dictator, vicious, violent drug dealer, and I'm smiling amid all this chaos in the sense that they are now like the Abrego Garcia that you and I discussed so many times.
Yes.
They're going to climb up on this hill now, Rob, and they're going to die on this hill in favor of Maduro. That's a good one, right?
Yeah, here is Mark Warner talking about the Biden administration failing when it came to Nicolás Maduro.
I've said repeatedly, the Maduro regime has been brutal to the Venezuelan people, and I think the Biden administration made a huge error when a couple years back the Venezuelans voted overwhelmingly to get rid of Maduro, and they didn't put enough pressure on getting him out. But that still begs the question: is what is President Trump's theory of the case? Is it regime change? We've got,
and he knows better too, doesn't he? You can't be that ignorant as a senator in the United States Senate.
Well, you make a great point, which is really worth cementing home, and that is that in so many contexts, it's not that they really believe the stuff that they're saying.
Of course.
And they're not that wildly naive and ignorant. It is just, again, we've talked about this so many times, this Trump derangement syndrome thing is real. It's not a joke. It's a subspecies, honestly, of like mental illness, in my opinion, although I'm not a doctor. And the fact of the matter is they just come right out over and over. They immediately characterize this as, a wartime action. The fact of the matter is, not to be corny, what an absolutely incredible, brilliant thing they did the other night. It was incredible.
And they couldn't bring themselves to not only admit that it was good to depose this SOB who has caused the death of hundreds of thousands of Americans, trafficking children and women. I can go on and on about the damage he did to the people of his country and starvation and et cetera. 8 million people fled the damn country. They couldn't give Donald Trump the credit for that. And then they couldn't give our military credit for the razor-sharp precision action that, remember the Noriega extraction? It was like 3.5 weeks and lives lost. This was 2.5 hours. You could have not Ubered out faster than they performed this.
This was truly remarkable what went on. And then the other corollary point you have to make is with their hair trigger Trump negativity, can you only imagine, like a little rhetorical question, can you only imagine if, things had gone wrong or there were problems with it? They'd be all over them.
Well,
and the fact is, I myself, I'm not a military expert, but I am absolutely stunned, positively stunned that they went in there and got this guy out of his heavily armed, defended fortress. It's incredible.
I know. If the Democrats in this leftist media were in charge of World War II, they would have lamented Hitler's suicide and blamed FDR for it. That's how bad it is. We got more I want to cover with Doug Burns on the other side of the break. Let's take a break. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Rescue.
More with Doug Burns coming up in a second. Silver. Remember when silver was like $10 an ounce? It wasn't that long ago. It was within the last decade or so, right? Well, it's at $81.45 today. $81.45. The price of oil has dropped around, it's about, what, 50 now, I think? Something like that. Oh, silver is $81.45. Gold is at just shy, $1 shy of $4,500 an ounce. 2024, it was at $2,600. You're thinking about buying gold, investing in gold and silver. Maybe you should, because right now, Birch Gold, if you're a first-time gold buyer, they'll be gentle. It's your first time. It's okay. It's okay. Play some music. Birch Gold is offering a rebate up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. To claim eligibility, start the process. Just text my name, Rob, to 989898. Birch Gold can help you roll an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, and you're still eligible for a rebate of up to $10,000. Crypto wasn't around when King Tut was alive, but gold was. Yeah, so maybe you should look at a metal that has staying power and one that is growing, I mean, incredibly. Again, $4,500 on gold and $81.45 for silver. First-time gold buyers text Rob to 989898. Rebate up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases from Birch Gold.
We seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
we're not going to let.
So is the U.S. going to have new elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tim Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
Wow, that is Jake Tapper and Stephen Miller last night. Stephen Miller bit his rear end so hard he had to floss at the end of the interview. It was remarkable. But Tapper, of course, is saying, well, what about elections? We're not changing the regime. We just made the VP in charge, and then we will kind of monitor what they're doing, and we will make sure that they allow American companies who had all their riches, all their infrastructure stolen from them by the previous regime before Maduro, the Chavez regime, to rebuild the oil infrastructure to get that back and our tax money back and benefit the people of Venezuela. That's what's going on. Doug Burns, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I watched the interview last night, I think both on CNN and then later when conservative cable was having a field day with it. And the fact of the matter is, I always tell my wife, if you watch these journalists on the liberal cable networks, the minute somebody says something, it doesn't have to be Stephen Miller, it could be anybody, that doesn't fit their narrative, they have like a frozen, horrified look on their face.
I know.
Which to me is the definition of not being a journalist.
100%. Hey, I want to ask you about these organized protests around the country that sprung up 12 hours later, and they are bought and paid for by various groups. Yesterday, Azra Namani wrote a terrific piece on a Fox News website about all of them popping up. This being reported, Janine Pirro is moving to block George Soros from allegedly secretly bankrolling protests across America by introducing a new proposal that could classify such funding as organized crime under a RICO Act if enacted. Soros-linked accounts could be reportedly frozen overnight, triggering a massive political shockwave nationwide, igniting fierce debate over protest financing free speech, national security. And Soros has funded violent protests around the country. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, my thoughts are, while I generally don't like cliches that go thrown around, I do like this one, which is follow the money.
Yeah.
So, because there really is a lot of accuracy in that. So the point is, I'm sure good investigators, can track money and payments. And the other thing is, the beauty of this is that, again, the average person, the American public, the public at large, they know full well that these weren't spontaneous protests. And thank God for people like you who are calmly explaining that these are well-funded, well-organized, planned in advance protests.
Let's move on to Tim Volz in Minnesota. We are discovering that this has been going on for a decade in states around the country. We discovered the COVID funding was they looted it. They looted the increase in the size of government for Democrat states around the country to pay for large yes for illegals, get their votes. There's no doubt about it. It's all coming down, dude. It's all coming down. Now the federal government cutting off $10 billion in funding to states like California and Washington and other Democrat states. What's going to happen in Minnesota now that 2,000 DHS agents, FBI agents are there, and Kristi Noem is on the ground? What do you predict is going to happen in Minnesota?
No, it's going to be a huge expansion of the criminal case that is already underway. A lot of defendants have already been arrested, and it's just going to explode and explode and explode. COVID at the time, again, not to be immodest, I'm sitting there saying to myself, this is just a complete disastrous invitation for fraud. I knew that right away. Program fraud's a huge problem. I was in the U.S. Attorney's Office 9 years. We did a lot of program fraud cases, and this was just that on steroids. But to answer your question, no, I think you're going to see some accountability here, big time. And I was watching Walsh and his face, as a trial lawyer yesterday, and he looks pretty shook up.
He had a shame storm yesterday, man. He was trying to lash out at everybody, but there's no way that if a 23-year-old journalist can go out on one day and find $110 million worth of fraud in one building, that Keith Ellison and Ilhan Omar and Tim Volz didn't know about this bullcrap. And it's about time people got perp walked and put on trial.
I couldn't agree more, and let's just see where it goes. Especially that Ellison. I mean, he's pretty disgraceful as a law enforcement figure. But Walsh, he's getting what he deserves. I did see some pundits saying that he's trying to now step out of the way and then maybe try to come back later, but I doubt that.
He's done. I think he's done. Like a Thanksgiving turkey. Hey, brother, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Happy New Year, Doug.
Happy New Year. Great being on in the new year.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. All righty. Got a lot of people talking today. Yeah, I'm back on the diet bandwagon. I ate too much over the break. And you know what? I said, screw it. I went to the gym. I said, screw it. But, I'm back. I'm back. I did go to the gym while I was on break. I went to Planet Fitness, and there were no men with penises in the women's locker room there. So who's watching today? Prade Yaprachat and Sam Ken Potter, my brother. Money with Apple Wallet, good grief, whatever. Okay, good to see you. Good to see you. Kathy Doman. Hello. Stephen Miller does kick ass, doesn't he? My God, he just kicks ass. Sam Ken Potter says, Rob Carson, keep preaching the truth. The Democrats hate it. I know. They're really starting to get under their skin a little bit, like a sliver. Look at all the talking over here on the YouTubeage. Sabrina G, hello. Mickey Hastings, what up? Deplorable Dinosaur, good morning, Patriots. Hello. America Marcy, Adrian John, Bruce Radford, all of you guys. Newsmax TV, woo, yeah. Volts. Are we having fun? My producer, Ken Redneck MacGyver, yesterday said, you sounded like you've had a good break, and it has been bittersweet, but the gloves are coming off, man. I mean, if you've been following this show for 5 years, you have no idea what's going to happen this year. You've seen the set. It's about to get really real. Lengthy interviews, podcasts about everything. A new desk arriving tomorrow. It's going to look like it's going to make Stephen Smith, it's going to make all of these podcasters, their sets pale by comparison. It'll make Tucker Carlson's set pale by comparison. And then, of course, you get me. Ta-da!
320.
Okay, if Iran and Venezuela fall at the same time, China loses 70% of its non-U.S. regulated oil supply.
What?
70%.
Really?
What else does that mean besides AI? You lose 70% of your oil from that's non-U.S. You lose 70%. What else can't you do? Well, you can't go into Taiwan. You certainly can't have a war with Taiwan. You can't have AI dominance. There's no BRICS reserve currency. So just on the oil front, absolutely it's about oil.
There you go. Glenn Beck, man. Right on, man. Right on. This is Donald Trump once again playing 3D chess like you would not believe. Just doing a brilliant job. And by the way, listen to this. Venezuelans actually want to go back to their home country when freedom is finally established.
These people from Venezuela, many of them have told me if this really works, we will go back to our country. We want to really rebuild our country and our nation.
Man, it's glorious. It's an amazing thing. And there's a protest going on in Iran. Hopefully the people of Persia will walk free, which I think is amazing. Anna Navarro, who's normally bat guano crazy on The View, she even supported it.
Your question, who voted for this? The people in South Florida. The Venezuelan community, the Cuban American community, the Nicaraguan.
Me too, a gringo. I voted for it.
American community voted for this.
I like freedom too.
And for us, this is a very, very happy day when we see a dictator who has been part of oppressing and abusing the Venezuelan people for 25 years, when we see him in handcuffs and held to some sort of account.
Yeah, it's a good thing, and you can't deny it, so there you go. Here is a Venezuelan man confronting a bunch of Gen Z whiteys, spoiled entitled children, about their protest against us arresting Maduro.
How are you guys? Where are you from, guys? No? Hi, guys.
My mom's basement.
No more war. Where are you from? Here? And where are you protesting right now? Today?
No more wars in Venezuela.
No more wars.
No more wars in Venezuela. And you know about the situation in Venezuela?
Free Palestine, and Elon Musk is a Nazi.
Yes. What do you know
Donald Trump's a king.
about the situation in Venezuela? So, you want to give me an answer? Because we can talk. I'm not aggressive or anything. I just want to talk, actually. So we have here
a bunch of busybody Karens wanting to actually step up and talk for the people of Venezuela, just like they've done with, getting rid of the Redskins. They're concerned about the Native Americans. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They are liberal busybodies and communists, and they're going to get their rear ends handed to them. Okay, we move on to Tim Woods and massive fraud in Democrat states. It's coming. Hell is coming for Democrats. Don't go anywhere.
No blind rhetoric.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax. Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think. They let me decide.
Real news for real people.
now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
And because of these new details and this new reporting that has come to light, this is a all hands on deck across the entire government effort. We are surging resources. You saw today the Department of Homeland Security announced we have nearly 2,000 agents from the Homeland Security Investigations Team. The FBI is on the ground, and we're freezing money. HHS cut off funding for child care centers and for daycares. Yep. USDA Secretary Rollins has been asking Governor Walz to see the...
They even shut off the funding to Leering centers.
...recipients of SNAP in his state. So this is all hands on deck, rest assured. It's a top priority for President Trump. And he believes that Governor Walz is criminally liable.
Oh, boy.
And I think the Department of Justice is going to find out.
Timmy, you're going to go to prison, Timmy. You and Keith Ellison are going to go to prison, and Ilhan Omar is going to get booted from Congress and then booted her rear end out of the country. She can go back home and marry another brother or something. There you go. This is from Donald Trump on Truth Social. Minnesota's corrupt governor will possibly leave office before his term is up. I predict that too. In any event, will not be running again because he was caught red-handed, along with Ilhan Omar and others, his Somali friends, stealing tens of billions of tax dollars. I feel certain the facts will come out and they will reveal a seriously unscrupulous and rich group of slimeballs. Governor Volz has destroyed the state of Minnesota, but others like Governor Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, Kathy Hochul have done, in my opinion, an even more dishonest and incompetent job. No one is above the law. This is pretty big. This is really, 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 really big. And Donald Trump has cut off $10 billion in funding to 5 Democrat-run states for child care, social services, and other things, because they just basically looted the Treasury. If you don't believe me, listen to this.
A new report has revealed that Joe Biden's HHS spent $22.6 billion in grants for migrants, covering cars, home loans, cash, housing, healthcare, and even money to start up businesses, all funded by American taxpayers. According to the report, the Office of Refugee Resettlement funded billions to nonprofit organizations, acting as a, quote, giant magnet for illegal migrants, all while losing track of 32,000 migrant kids. More than $12 billion went to unaccompanied minors, even though reports exposed unvetted and abusive sponsors.
Unbelievable. That's from Salem Communications. They hired Scott Jennings. They hired Scott Jennings over there. He's got a radio show. So do I. There you go. $10 billion cut off because what do? They use the COVID to usher in a massive increase in federal spending, and then they looted the Treasury. And it was worse than I ever imagined. You may recall last year, I correctly predicted all of this because, I got common sense and life experience and whatnot. DHS will freeze taxpayer funding, Child Care Development Fund, CCDF, temporary assistance for needy families. No more tampons in boys' room. I think the funding for that in Minnesota, too. Bad news for boys who are on their period. The Trump administration cutting more than $10 billion in social services. CCDF funding block $2.4 billion affects all of the states involved here, including California. Another $869 million from the social services block grant coffers being kept from 5 states. Kristen Gillibrand, Democrat in New York, blasted the Trump administration decision. What do you suppose she said? Well, Trump wants to starve children. Duh. To use the power of the government to harm the neediest Americans. Do you see all those needy Somalians driving Rolls Royces and Mercedes up there outside of their daycare centers that serve no children? Those poor people. This has nothing to do with the fraud. Listen to this. This has nothing to do with fraud and everything to do with political retribution that punishes poor children. Donald Trump is doing this to punish poor children. I demand that Trump unfreezes the funding to stop this brazen attack on our children. Oh, my God, you people are freaking mentally ill. My God, you people are freaking mentally. About 130,000 illegal migrants resided in Minnesota as of 2023, an increase of around 40,000 from 2019, and roughly 2% of the state's population, according to Pew research. The Somalian dysphoria, whatever that is. Did you ever have a dysphoria? I had that. I hear if you go to Somalia and you drink the water, you will end up with a whole mess of dysphoria, and you better have a change of underwear. Anyway, 100,000 people up there in Little Somalia. Federal prosecutors already secured dozens of convictions related to $250 million in funds stolen by the Feeding Our Future, which only fed the bank accounts of people there. And Ilhan Omar, she secured that funding. She's going to go to jail. I really, or at least be booted out of the Congress in the country. DHS will freeze taxpayer funding from the Child Development, I already told you that, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, the TANF program, Social Services Block Grant Program. First Assistant Minnesota U.S. Attorney Joe Thompson claimed fraudsters skimmed as much as $9 billion. $9 billion, and it's even bigger in other states around the country. They're saying maybe $100 billion. Here's Nick Shirley and his buddy David. They're the guys who did and they got another video coming out. Here they are talking about the scope and the possibility and the dollar amount that may be involved just in Minnesota alone.
There's a lot of fraud happening here in Minnesota. You've been living here for years now. How bad is this fraud?
So I was born in Minneapolis a long time ago. I've lived my whole life here. And my opinion is that this is the worst fraud in human history. What is occurring in Minnesota and more specifically in the Twin Cities right now.
Yeah.
How much money do you think has been sent around fraudulently here?
There's no way Tim Walz didn't know anything about it.
Inside Minnesota.
Over the years, I would say anywhere from 80 to $100 billion.
Yeah, it's only going to get bigger in California, and they all knew about this. These reports have been going on. I got some reports from Fox 19 in Minnesota. In just a second, but there's also this whole ballot harvesting going on in Minnesota, and this is where it ties into the Democrat Party because they're afraid of the Somalians, and if they give the Somalians all of this, then the Somalians will vote slavishly. That's racist. No, it's not. Slavishly Democrat.
Here, and it's way beyond anybody's imagination, the total amount. The state doesn't even know. The feds don't even know.
And so, for instance, why would that judge bow down to the head of the Somali mafia here?
What I can tell you is that it's a voting bloc, and what they say is if you do something to go against our community, we're going to vote for, and they all vote together, and there's ballot harvesting, I've seen them do it, that we're going to vote for your opponent unless you do what we tell you to do.
And so is it all purely for votes?
Yes.
And so
wow, that is crazy. That is just crazy. And Elon Musk kind of predicted all of this. He was in charge of Doge. He started to uncover this. And then, of course, they sent out a bunch of protesters across the country with signs that all read the same thing. And they said that he was a Nazi. And then they started burning his cars. And then, they were attacking people for just owning Teslas. And then all that went away, apparently. He was no longer a Nazi when he left the government.
The single biggest thing that they're worried about is Doge is going to turn off fraudulent payments of entitlements. I mean, everything from Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, disability, Small Business Administration loans, turn them off to illegals. This is the crux of the matter.
Yeah, he's been saying that for a while. And everybody knows about it. This is why the Democrat Party wants to keep the National Guard and federal authorities out of Democrat enclaves like Chicago. DHS are on the ground in Minnesota right now. They're going door to door at Somali daycare centers. Oh my God, what a glorious day.
The ground, they say they see these daycare centers, adult daycare centers, autism centers, home health care centers, all over the place. So that's why DHS has to be here, Dana, to knock on these doors and say, you've received this much money. What'd you do with it? So we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. And maybe old Tampon Timmy is going to go to jail as well. And I believe he will. This is Fox 19 in Minneapolis talking about feeding our future. Feeding our future. They said that their restaurants, these Somali-owned restaurants, were making hundreds of thousands of meals every day for all these starving kids. You never saw it at Starving Kids. You never saw any of the kids standing out in line. You never saw the meals being being made or anything, and then they had these just extraordinarily high meal numbers that no restaurant could produce in a single day.
In December of 2021, the FBI installed a surveillance camera overlooking this...
And I guess Tim Walz didn't know anything about this.
...building just off Lake Street in Minneapolis. At the time, it was Safari Restaurant. Wife fraud, along with bribery for the alleged
2 years ago
kickbacks that she received. Her defense attorney tried to raise doubt when it cross-examined the FBI agent that they didn't see the back entrance where it's possible meals left packed in trucks for delivery. He pushed back, insisting they'd still see congestion. To that volume, he said, I would say it would not make any sense.
That case became one of the biggest COVID-era frauds in America. And the kicker, Minnesota's own Department of Education had red flags. Massive spikes in reimbursement requests, impossible meal counts, and they still rubber stamped the paperwork.
And it all went to the top.
Now, this new audit proves what everyone with a brain has been saying for years. Incompetence starts at the top. When the governor's own office
it's fraud.
Is sloppy with receipts. How can he possibly keep his agencies in line? Republican Senate Leader Mark Johnson said it perfectly. Quote, sloppy accountability at the top breeds waste and abuse everywhere else. And he's right about that. You cannot preach fiscal responsibility when you are overpaying employees, losing state property, and mismanaging vendor payments. And it's not just the feeding our future mess. We've also got the Autism Services fraud case, another multi-million-dollar scam in the same state, involving clinics billing for therapy that never happened. And to make it worse, some of those same providers were linked to the Feeding Our Future network. It's the same pattern, inflated invoices.
And by the way, the UN ambassador from Somalia was involved too. We've got more on this coming up. Let's take a break. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Who's ruined his state. Now he wants our children to self-mutilate. His policies are disgusting and lewd. And now he says schools have to include tampons in the boys' room. Tampons in the boys' room. Tim Walz and Kamala, a couple of fools. And everybody knows that liberals want to ruin schools. Tim allowed his cities to be burned by BLM. Criminals, illegals, they can count on Tim. His uniform, Tim was disgraced. He really crossed the line the moment that he placed tampons in the boys' room. Tampons in the boys' room. Tim Walz is a commie. Kamala is too, and everyone should know the damage that these two could do. Jasmine Crockett, crazy as a loon. You're gonna lose your House seat, gonna lose it soon. You're running for the Senate, where you don't have a prayer. Like skim milk, get 2% and be out of there. Texas is conservative, they won't buy your act. You'll be beaten badly, and Jasmine, that's a fact. You have to know your campaign, it is gonna fail, even though the Democrats are gonna cheat by mail. Crazy Jasmine Crockett, glad you chose to run. Watching you get steamrolled will be a lot of fun. Adam Schiff's scared, and he ought to be inside of a cell. He's gonna see Pencil Neck is going to jail. Lied on his mortgage not one time but twice. Get a good lawyer, that's my advice. Pencil Neck is going to jail. Leak classified information to the New York Times. Schiff will be prosecuted for his oh so many crimes. His Senate seat will be taken away. Adam Schiff, he's gonna pay. Pencil Neck is headed to jail. Watch Adam sweat. A lengthy sentence he'll get. Pencil Neck, he's headed to jail.
Rob, I'm going to run the Newsmax.
Dig it.
Newsmax, you like Newsmax. I like it too. Newsmax has been terrific.
President Trump is right. Millions like you are tuning into Newsmax. You're watching Newsmax on cable. You're going to our streaming channel, Newsmax 2, and you're downloading our free Newsmax app on your smartphones and TVs. Every night, watch great shows with Rob Schmidt, Carl Higbie, Rob Finnerty, and more as they expose the big media lies, the Washington swamp, and they're never afraid to talk about faith, freedom, and the values that made us great. Find out why Newsmax is the fastest growing news channel in America. Make the switch today.
Poor little Democrats. Are you guys okay today? I came in to check on you. Every time Trump does something good, you guys spaz out.
Yeah.
Would you guys shut up and let him work?
Metallica. Followed by Rob Finnerty and Scott Jennings.
So great he's not running. Were you surprised that he didn't resign today?
Not surprised he didn't resign. I mean, I think it's hard for politicians sometimes to come to grips with the idea that they've been caught. But this guy's been caught.
Tim Woods!
I mean, let's be honest. He knows that not what's been uncovered is bad, but what is yet to come is likely even worse.
He's got I wish he had one of those bunkers that Maduro tried to get to.
That is why he is not running for re-election. He's been done in by hubris. He's been done in by his inattentiveness to the fraud going on in his state. And he was done in by a YouTuber who did the job that the media wouldn't do.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's no doubt about it. It is massive fraud perpetrated by Democrats around the country in Democrat states. By the way, this going out on the interweb, according to redstate.com. You know, Michael Byrd, the police officer who murdered Ashley Babbitt 5 years ago today. Apparently, he and his wife had an unaccredited daycare center that was federally funded. Records show U.S. Capitol Police Michael Byrd, who fatally murdered unarmed January 6th protester Ashley Babbitt without warning, has been running an unaccredited daycare center with his wife, Kaleska, in their home in Maryland. Wow, I got to tell you. And by the way, if you want to see my thoughts on January the 6th, the American Reichstag, go to my social media, including LinkedIn. Just look up Rob Carson Show. How about that? How about that? It's pretty good. You should watch it. It's true, too.
Tim Walz is not running. It was just announced. Tim knew that he had no chance. He surely would get trounced, and he ought to be in prison.
He's got to be.
And Keith Ellison, too. 20 years in the slammer.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Both of them should do. He let fraud run rampant. A finger didn't lift.
Nope.
In the state of Minnesota, it's caused quite a rift. They want Tim in prison for a long, long time.
Give him a life sentence. It'd be about maybe 15 years in his case.
And punish Elon Omar for each and every crime. When he was just a baby, his mama told him, Tim, one day you will find yourself way out on a limb. They'll lock you up in prison.
Yeah, baby.
Should be your biggest fear. And when they throw you in there, no one will shed a tear.
There you go. Jim Gossett, want to help him out. In the new year, just go to patreon.com. Jim Gossett Comedy. He's a freaking genius, man. He's a genius, man. There you go. So, patreon.com, Jim Gossett Comedy. And it goes on. News Nation did a report about Minneapolis assisted living facilities. And by the way, all the families who took a part of this, all of these families who signed up their kids for cash payments saying their kids had autism, they ought to be sent the hell out of the damned country back to Somalia. Don't let the door hit you on the butt. I know they don't have doors over there in Somalia because, they don't have windows and they live in mud huts because it's the meth lab trailer park of the world.
This may look like your typical single-family home, but it bills itself as an assisted living facility.
Oh, yeah.
And it receives a lot of taxpayer money.
Woo.
Here in Minnesota, the number of people getting help in assisted living facilities is up, double the growth of other programs.
Wow.
But here's the kicker. The rate of payment in this assisted living space is 10 to 15 times the growth in other programs.
Weird.
So we pulled the data on assisted living facilities in the Minneapolis area.
Yeah.
Minneapolis, as you might expect, has a lot. 169. St. Paul, with a population of 307,000,
How many?
has 83.
What?
But Brooklyn Center, 30,000 population, has 106. And Brooklyn Park, population of 84,000, has 181, more than Minneapolis, a city 5 times its size.
Wow.
But this assisted living facility puts this all in perspective. It's owned by a man indicted for laundering $1 million in the Feeding Our Future scam.
Yeah, and Keith Ellison didn't see it. That's why Keith Ellison's being all sorts of quiet now.
These assisted living facilities received over $2.3 million in state money last year alone. A Minnesota Reformer article says he has been paid a whopping $49 million since 2016.
One person.
How is it possible that this person who's been indicted in Feeding Our Future also is still collecting checks from the state, running these assisted living centers with his wife?
I honestly have no idea.
Oh, yeah, you
it
do.
seems like the most basic due diligence would
Yeah.
have been to run a check of all the people indicted in Feeding Our Future and then make sure they're not getting paid from other state programs. And at least in this case, and I've heard perhaps in others, they didn't do that.
And Keith Ellison, he actually admitted, and he's caught on tape, saying that he would kill any investigation with regard to these facilities. And Democrats got campaign cash from all of them. And the DHS is on the ground in Minnesota. And I want to see people perp-walked, hands behind their backs, including Timmy. Coming up, James Rosen, Washington, D.C. chief correspondent for Newsmax. Don't go anywhere. Hey, guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. I saw an ad for Relief Factor a while back, and I saw a guy literally in tears with how he talked about the pain that he was experiencing was gone. It happened to me, too. I started it taking a few months ago. My hip was really bothering me, and I wondered, because I'm the age of, replacement of joints and whatnot, if it could be better. And I started taking Relief Factor, and it healed. It's a 100% drug-free, research-based formula created to help your body's natural inflammatory response, the same one that causes everyday aches and pains from aging, exercise, overexertion, and just normal living. It helped me with my hip, my neck, my shoulders, all the places that remind you you're not 25 anymore. Relief Factor supports a healthy response to inflammation, helping you stay active and keep those joints and muscles feeling good. It's made with 4 key ingredients: omega-3 fatty acids, resveratrol, curcumin, and icariin, each one helping from a different angle. You can start with the 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's less than a cup of coffee a day. So if you're tired of creaking like an old floorboard every time you move, give Relief Factor a try. Go to ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com and feel the difference. Relief Factor, because getting out of bed shouldn't count as a workout. My nightly ritual now is a little ice, a little vanilla yogurt, banana, a little milk, and a scoop of chocolate brownie Beams Dream Powder in the blender. A little while later, I hit the sack and I sleep until sunrise. It's amazing. These days, everything moves so fast, and it certainly can mess with your sleep schedule. That's why I'm here to tell you about Beams Dream Powder. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients, including reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. I've been using Beams Dream Powder for a year now, and I can honestly say I feel sharper, calmer, and more focused, and I'm not alone. Beam has improved over 28 million nights of sleep for people across the country. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax. Use code Newsmax and take advantage of my exclusive offer for 40% off. You can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. So seriously, think about it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax today.
Music.
A little Beatles. I love it. Get back, Loretto. Whoever Loretto is. Joining us on the Newsmax hotline, first time in 2026, Washington, D.C., Bureau Chief for Newsmax, the one, the only James Rosen. How are you doing, my friend?
You know, they teach
teach you in broadcast school, Rob, never to correct the anchor unless absolutely necessary. And we begin this new year
with Loretto.
Just such an
What did I do? What did I do?
I am not the Washington bureau chief. As a matter of fact, yesterday, for the first time, Newsmax had a Washington bureau chief with the arrival here of our colleague, formerly of the Daily Caller News Foundation, Adele Malpass, who is now the Washington bureau chief.
Okay. Well, who are you?
Newsmax has ever
What
had.
are you then?
I am the chief Washington correspondent. All of these things matter terribly. I know.
I thought you were going to correct me on Loretto.
It's actually Loretta.
It's Loretta.
Else I wanted to get.
But didn't he say Loretto?
It's Loretta.
But he said Loretto. It sounds like Loretto.
This is easily documented, my friend.
Cue it up, Brian. Cue it up, man. So how's did you get the flu that's been going around here?
No, I have remained.
Neither have I, dude.
Illness-free this holiday season. Yeah. Happy New Year to you, Rob. It's a great pleasure to be back with you, and there's so much happening right now.
There is. Did you? One other thing, one other superfluous conversation starter. Did you make it to see the light show at the Washington Monument that ended last night?
I didn't, unfortunately, but I've seen some incredible photographs, and it was such a creative and smart idea.
It was fun.
Although, if you looked at what the Vatican did for New Year's, and also what China did for New Year's, the new vogue firecrackers are so 20th century. Fireworks.
Yes.
Now the new thing is to have a drone show.
Yeah.
These enormous drone shows.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Well, there's a lot of stuff planned for the 250th year. I think it's going to be a great time to live in the D.C. area and in America in general.
You remember, as I do, the bicentennial in 1976 being a big deal, right?
I do. Now it's the, they would call it the non-binary centennial. It wouldn't be a bicentennial. It would be a non-binary centennial is what they call it today.
You can choose what number you're observing. It doesn't matter.
All right, so let's talk about Maduro, the arrest of Maduro by the Trump administration going in. There was a bounty on him. There are charges against him. He was a wanted man, and they did not change the regime because the person next in charge is the vice president. What are your thoughts on the Democrats saying that it was about regime change and oil and it was a war?
Well, it's a kind of a modified, limited version of regime change. I covered, I remember traveling when I was with Fox News to Iraq with then Defense Secretary Robert Gates, who was a longtime CIA guy and who worked under both presidents from both parties, and he was serving as Defense Secretary under Barack Obama in 2010. We did an interview in Baghdad, and I asked him, given the American experience in Iraq, should the concept of regime change be permanently discredited as a tool of U.S. foreign policy? And he paused for a moment and chuckled. He said, well, certainly the bar has been much higher now, but we appear to have reached that bar. There is regime change that has taken place over the weekend in Venezuela insofar as the head of the country was, not in literal terms but figurative terms, decapitated from the rest of the government and brought to the United States to face criminal charges.
Yes.
That is the regime changes, sure. And, of course, from President Trump's news conference in Palm Beach, we heard that the regime in Venezuela is going to change its orientation in order to facilitate his new vision for the country and the refurbishment of the oil infrastructure, etc. There was not a full-scale invasion. There was not, or occupation, and there was not sort of what we saw in Iraq, the de-Baathification. According to published reports, the U.S. intelligence community assessed that the woman who has been serving as Maduro's vice president for the last 7.5 years, Delcy Rodriguez, would be better positioned to implement the Trumpian vision here than the opposition leader, who by all accounts won last year's elections and has been in exile and who received the Nobel Peace Prize and who last night offered to give that to President Trump, Maria Corina Machado. So the U.S. intelligence said our best horse right now, so to speak, is with the vice president who's now been elevated to president. But for Delcy Rodriguez in Venezuela, in Caracas, again, this is someone who has spent 7.5 years as Maduro's number 2. According to some accounts, she oversaw the intelligence service, some of the torture practices. So her task now, almost impossible on its face, is to unravel decades of partnerships and alliances that she and Maduro forged, employed, enjoyed, and depended on with narco-terrorists and a raft of foreign actors that are hostile to the United States. We'll see if she can pull it off.
Well, my immediate thought was, it wasn't Machado who was elected, it was her party that won the election, if I'm not mistaken. But it would seem to make sense, since the election were stolen, that the winning candidate and the party would be ushered in. But again, the Trump administration is doing its level best not to get involved, to keep this at what it was, which was a police action to arrest someone who was on the wanted list for crimes against the United States.
Now, you look at history, and it wouldn't be difficult to conjure any number of scenarios unfolding in the weeks ahead, none of them welcome, and all of them carrying the potential for great peril for President Trump, his administration, and his party as we head into midterm elections. So, for example, obviously there are many Maduro loyalists left in the government and throughout Venezuela. That would be the natural seeding bed of an insurgency. It's entirely realistic to imagine that we will see the sabotage conducted at a prominent oil installation. God forbid, but quite plausible, the assassination of an American or one of the members of the group, the vague group that President Trump alluded to on Saturday, that will be installed to run Venezuela in tandem with President Rodriguez. There's any number of ways this can start to haywire. And as Colin Powell famously said in the Bush-Cheney era, you break it, you've bought it. And this will become President Trump's issue. But for now, we are left, as we must, to marvel at the extraordinary nature of President Trump and his approach to power. This operation was extraordinary.
I know.
I think we have seen, certainly in my lifetime, a president so unapologetic in his willingness to wield power both abroad and at home.
Yeah, he does that kind of, in the old-timey Western, when they shoot the gun and they tip the gun up and they blow the smoke off the barrel. That's Donald Trump's approach to diplomacy. But I will tell you, the new Venezuelan leader has ordered secret police to hunt Trump collaborators, and there were people out with guns in Caracas, and they were trying to round people up. So Donald Trump has already told the new leader of Venezuela, Fafo, and so it is not an easily figured out scenario here. But yeah, again, kudos to the military operation. James Rosen, can you hold on for the next break? There's much more to cover, including Minnesota. Can you do that?
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
M.
Here we go. Okay, he said Loretta, I guess, whatever. It sounded like Loretto. I played that song 1,000 times on the radio, and it sounded like Loretto to me, but whatever. James Rosen always... I mean, here we go again. He is the Buckingham Palace guard, and I'm the annoying American tourist. That's the relationship we have. You know?
I'm so glad we got to the bottom of the lyrics of Get Back, which was issued in 1969.
Yes. Are you going to do a book about the Beatles?
I have laid a lot of groundwork for it.
Okay.
I've got two more books on Scalia to do, and some other projects. But I sold all of my printed literature about the Beatles, which reflected an insane quest on my part to try to collect every interview they ever gave, and even some very obscure sources to Northwestern University's Deering Library, where that collection now resides, along with my journalism collection.
That's impressive. I do have, and I literally mean this. I've got it. I moved it here from Kansas City. It is a magazine, a tabloid, about John Lennon's assassination from 1980, and I held on to it, and I would like you to have it.
I would love to have it.
Okay.
I think we both recognize that it would have a better home with me.
I think it would. I was always an Elvis guy. Of course, because right now it's in a bunch of Rob memorabilia in the bottom of a trunk. But I'll get you a copy of it. But I was always an Elvis. I'm just insane Elvis fan.
My wife watched the Priscilla movie last night.
Oh, okay.
Did you watch that film?
I have not watched. Is it good?
Well, I saw it was a pretty good depiction of Elvis in terms of mannerism and sound of his voice and so forth.
All right. Well, the Elvis movie, the Baz Luhrmann, was pretty good, and it gave me a new perspective on Colonel Tom Parker. I've had agents like that, by the way.
There was recently a new book published by the definitive biographer of Elvis Presley, Greil Marcus, I think, who I think did a 2-volume biography of Elvis that is considered definitive.
Right.
And then last year he published a biography of Tom Parker.
Oh, really?
In which he sought to dispel the myths surrounding Colonel Tom Parker.
By the way, off topic, I saw the bio. It's technically it was not a biopic, but it was a true story based on a true story. Amazing Marty. When I was on break, that was an exceptional movie. Have you seen that?
I have not, but it occurs to me, Rob, that I've used so much of my time, my precious time on your show, to promote other people's books and movies, and I should be talking about the book that I have coming out on February 10, which is available for pre-order now on Amazon and all other places where you might find books. And this is Volume 2 of my 3-volume biography of Antonin Scalia.
Okay.
The book comes out February 10.
Excellent.
This covers the first half of his Supreme Court years, and there's a lot of fun things in it. And the 10th anniversary of Justice Antonin Scalia's really shocking death comes around on February 13 of 2020.
Well, your writing is impeccable, and your obviously your speaking ability makes me look like a piker. I'll just put it that way. I can only aspire to be as well spoken as you. But
piker's not a bad thing to be, right? I mean,
no.
We need pikers. We need good, honorable pikers.
Yes, we do. So the HHS, Biden's massive child care scheme apparently involved states paying providers without verifying attendance. It sounds like they use the COVID pandemic as a way to usher in a massive increase in the size of government, and then to effectively loot the treasury in Democrat states by giving largesse to people of questionable citizenship.
There's an awful lot there. And, as Justice Scalia himself once said, the beginning of wisdom is the recognition of how you actually know. And good reporters will be careful to limit what they have to say about subjects that they haven't really researched. And I can tell you that I am prepared to endorse such sweeping claims about what unfolded during the pandemic. Clearly, the pandemic was a multifaceted, multidimensional, once-in-a-lifetime event, once-in-a-lifetime event. And sure, Democratic governors working with Democratic legislatures were able to change the laws or the rules that were accepted for voting, for ballots, all sorts of things And all it proves is that elections have consequences, so that if you're bothered by that as a Republican, next time make sure your person is governor.
Let me ask you this, though. Explain to me the lack of journalistic curiosity with regard to cases like Minnesota, where now they're saying $9 billion possibly defrauded. Lack of journalistic curiosity by WCCO TV, the Star Tribune. Lack of journalistic curiosity on the Biden laptop. You are a journalist, James. You are excellent in what you do. Please explain to me, because and also it will segue into this. CBS relaunched, acknowledging the folly of the left-leaning letter networks with missing stories and lacking journalistic curiosity. Your thoughts?
Again, I can't say that I have studied what WCCO or the Minnesota news media have or have not reported to date on the activities of the Somali community and so forth. Sure. In terms of I guess the relaunch of CBS News.
Yeah.
I was very fascinated with CBS News as a young person. I read all the books that were coming out with titles like Bad Days, Black Rock, Inside, or for CBS News, those sort of things. And, I was very interested in the transition from Walter Cronkite to Dan Rather, and I became a huge fan of Dan Rather.
Yeah.
And I eventually got to work for Dan Rather.
Yes.
Although I worked for Dan, I did not work for CBS.
Gotcha.
And I got to spend some time around CBS News and make extensive use of their library, which was quite an extraordinary research institution unto itself, right there at 524 West 57th Street in Midtown Manhattan. So I'm steeped in the lore of CBS News. I even reviewed Roger Mudd's memoir for the Washington Post.
Wow, look at you. You got a hell of a resume.
So I care about all that.
Yeah.
And CBS News was a great institution.
They were.
And had a coverage and a span around the globe that NBC News and ABC News at that point in the 60s and 70s couldn't match.
Yeah.
And so now we come to a moment where this fellow, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Tony Dockett-Buell.
Yeah.
Forgive me for mangling.
That's right.
He's rebuked internally at CBS News for conducting a sort of robust and spirited interview with an African-American author. And ultimately, all the people that rebuked him and threatened his livelihood over what was a very fair and journalistically rigorous interview were forced out. And now we have new leadership there, and Tony is the new anchor of the CBS Evening News.
I'll be interested to see what it does if it's too late, because most people don't trust the letter networks anymore after missing so many stories. Dan Rather, of course, involved in fibbing about George W. Bush, lying about a font that wasn't used in a time that he said that it was.
He got the story wrong.
Yes.
But and I still revere Dan Rather. I'm in touch with Dan Rather. What Dan's great, if you ask me, his great transgression, all of that, was not simply retracting the story. He maintained, and still does, that he couldn't prove the story, but I believe the story to be true.
All right, we got to go. Your book, again, is available on the 12th of February?
10th of February on Amazon. Scalia's Supreme Court Years, 1986 to 2001.
All right, tell your wife, Loretta, I said hi. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. See you, bud. He's that guy. That guy. He's really, you should see how he is around me in person. It's pretty fun. He's a really brilliant dude. And I think Dan Rather is a tool. So there you go. I just let him have it. Dan Rather is a tool. There you go. Dale Arsenault, good to see you. Let's see. Pranay, good to see you again there. Hold on. What are we talking about over here? America Marcy. Oh, we're talking about cigars. We were talking about cigars earlier. I got a humidor. And the reason being, when I had I began smoking cigars in the 90s when I was still in my 20s. And I actually got on a magazine cover in Cigar Magazine in Minneapolis and became quite a cigar aficionado, hosted cigar nights and all of this, and became very conversant in cigars. Then I had my kids, and I said, nah, no more cigars. I don't want to see my kids smoking, blah, blah, blah. I got a humidor briefly in D.C. I wasn't smoking cigars. I was involved in my marriage crumbling. But I did order a little humidor, and I filled it up with some Perdomo cigars, among others. And the reason being is I don't smoke cigars often. I smoke them once every 3 to 6 months. But I like to have them to give to people. It is a great show of fellowship and friendship. It is also an expression of generosity that, when you have enough to pay the bills, it's nice to be able to share with others. So I got a cigar humidor. I got the humidor. So there you go. What are we going to talk about next year? Oh, yeah, here we go. Oh, I got some good stuff coming up here. Hold on. Here we go, kids.
WCBM and 99.9 FM in Harford County.
At about 2:20 here.
Okay.
News here at 6. Federal agents charged a second Georgia lawmaker with defrauding taxpayers through pandemic unemployment insurance. A grand jury indicted Stone Mountain Democrat Karen Bennett. Prosecutors allege she obtained unemployment benefits for employees even though her business remained open through the pandemic. Bennett becomes the second Georgia lawmaker arrested on pandemic-related fraud charges. A grand jury also indicted Covington Democrat Sharon Henderson.
That is in the state of Georgia. The Democrat Party is the largest organized crime family in world history, taking trillions of dollars. That's the way it is. It's got to be discovered. I'm not a journalist like James Rosen, and not studying every story, but it's fairly obvious. I use this thing called life experience, common sense, and research to uncover these things. By the way, I'm reminded by Newsmax TV that you can help support this show by subscribing on Apple Podcasts to my show and on Spotify podcasts to my show. Every single day we do a podcast. We take the 3 hours of the show, we edit the commercials out of them, and we put them up on all of the podcast platforms you can imagine. Look up Rob Carson Show. Now, in the coming year, this year, I have built a studio with my own money here in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to start doing extended interviews with newsmakers, comedians, chefs, philosophers, theologians, anybody I find interesting. Anybody I can find interesting, and I'm going to start doing extended interviews because I like talking to people. Hell, I might even have an Uber driver that I talk to. I talked to an Uber driver over the weekend, and he was from Ethiopia. I told you the story, and so it's just about interesting people because there are interesting people all around us, and my mother taught me how to talk to anyone about anything. So that is one of the many things we're going to be doing. But if you would, on the podcast platforms that you listen to the show, subscribe if you would, and share with others because it's only going to get better. I'm determined to. That's why I'm here. That's why I came here. You're with me. Coming up next, all sorts of BS in Seattle with the new mayor. Going to hell in a handbasket. New York City, too. Coming up. Don't go anywhere.
now.
You are about to hear the most interesting, informative, thought-provoking, and funny show in America. On air and on the World Wide Web. This is the Rob Carson Show.
Hour number 3 of the Rob Carson Show. By the way, I don't do a good job of promoting the phone number. It's 800-922-6680. I'm going to do better at that as the year progresses. When I said the number, a lot of the times people wouldn't call it because I think a lot of the times you think, yeah, why chime in? You kind of enjoy hearing the entertainment. Then you probably also think, how could I get a word in edgewise? Is it even possible to do that? So we're gonna promote the number more if you want to call in on the show. Maybe that's one of my resolutions this year. 800-922-6680. Other resolutions. I put on some weight over the holiday. I did go to the gym, but I ate a lot of crap that I shouldn't have eaten. I said, hell with it. Why not? Just enjoy things a little bit. I saw a headline today that America's falling out of love with pizza. Restaurant chains explore strategy changes as sales slow for food delivery mainstay. You know what it is? It's a bunch of damn people who are so freaking averse. And the latest dietary thing is, I can't eat carbs. I gotta eat keto. I can't eat carbs. I mean, honestly, did you fall for the cabbage soup diet? Did you fall for the caveman diet? Did you fall for all that crap? I mean, honestly. Moderation in all things and occasionally the excess. If anything that you should worry about is getting rid of the fake crap, getting rid of the seed oils and the artificial dyes and crap like that. There's nothing wrong with carbs. There's nothing wrong with wheat. It's the staff of life, for God's sake. There's nothing wrong with rice. There are a lot of Asian people, millions of Asian people, Chinese people. They eat rice every day. They're not fat. It's just crazy. There's millions of people from the south of the border that eat tortillas every day. They don't have a single ounce of fat on them because maybe they're busy working and stuff. I don't know. But honestly, when you say no to stuff, I got to tell you, I have met several people of the feminine persuasion who have said, oh, I would never eat pizza. Oh, my God, a pizza. Oh, my God. And I was like, wow, if you're going to eat no pizza around me, you ain't going to spend any time around me because I ain't falling out of love with pizza. Occasionally I'll do the cauliflower crust. They have a cauliflower crust at Costco. It's not bad. It's not good. But America's falling out of love with pizza. Bullcrap. Pizza is a gift from God. Oh, this is from Persia, formerly known as Iran. The police are joining the people. The Iranian police, in at least one enclave called Lem, has joined the revolution. And hopefully this will mean that the Ayatollah will get a patriot colonoscopy. He's making plans to part Iran, and he's looking at Russia is where he's thinking about going. So that's good news. What an amazing... Maduro's gone. The Democrat Party is trying to piss on that parade. Maduro is no longer in power in Venezuela. He has caused untold hardship, heartache, I should say, hardship, death, destruction, imprisonment, people fleeing, starvation. He's a son of a bee. He has been a narco-terrorist trafficker to the United States. He's caused hundreds of thousands of deaths. He is an evil SOB. And he's no longer in power. And the Democrat Party is so they've got TDS so badly that they can't even admit it's a good thing as hundreds of millions of Hispanics around the globe cheer. I wonder if Cuba falls, if Democrats will say it's bad. Honestly, the party, you're so friggin' broken. If Iran falls, what are you going to say now? Is it bad? Is it bad that Donald Trump went after the nuclear facilities? Oh, he didn't bomb the nuclear facilities. He didn't get all of it. No. Shut up. We are witnessing history, and I am not about to let you take away my joy and patriotism. Here's Tim Volz this morning, again, belly aching, blaming. He's going to go to jail. He knows it. Here he is talking about why he dropped out of the 2026 race, and it's because the evidence is so overwhelming that at best he simply was ignorant of all of the massive fraud in his state, and at worst, he knew about it and even facilitated it by ignoring the evidence of it and ignoring whistleblowers and putting them down.
Governor, what decision to end your campaign by yourself, or did you receive pressure from Democratic allies?
This is a decision that I make and make with my family, and certainly I think, as I said, it's the right decision. I'll note, I think it's appropriate we're here today. The war that's being waged against Minnesota, you're seeing it.
No, it's not, you jackweed. It's the war against all the fraud and all the money that your frickin' government took from us.
We have a ridiculous surge of apparently 2,000 people not coordinating with us for a show of the cameras.
Yeah.
I'm going to note to all of you, today is January 6th.
You better go to your bunker. Oh, he's going to talk about Jan 6 now.
There's no debate what happened.
Oh, yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. Yeah, there is. There's also a debate about the election, whether it was real or not. They're Timmy. But you see, you guys were able to censor it all back then. Not anymore. Timmy.
States led an insurrection against a fair election to try and overturn that and, report both sides of this. Well, he said...
Wow, I got to tell you, you're so desperate. He said it was white supremacy and all of that. I mean, honestly, Timmy, enjoy your last breaths of free air.
Timmy! Ooh, Timmy.
There you go. Tampon Tim's final humiliation, Walt's unraveling with excruciating gaffes, shameless excuses, and a calamitous VP cameo. This is the UK Daily Mail doing some real journalism, which WCCO in Minneapolis and the Star Tribune would never consider doing. I used to live there, you see. I was going to work at WCCO Radio a few years ago, and they called me a right-wing extremist or something like that, even though the media in Minneapolis celebrated me being a conservative in the 90s when I did a morning show up there. This is from the story. It wasn't even immediate clear where the couple would live after Walt's final day in office. Walt sold his home in July 2019 for $304,000, moved into a state-funded home, public housing. There he was still a $250,000 mortgage at the time. On Monday, he ended his bid for a third term as governor, admitting that the fraud happened on my watch and that the buck does stop with me. Well, he just admitted it. He's toast. Waltz conceded for the last several years an organized group of criminals have sought to take advantage of our state's generosity. However, when it came down to a downfall, he refused to take responsibility because he's a spineless wuss bucket. He accused President Trump of demonizing our Somali neighbors. Now a good share of them are scumbags from the world's meth lab trailer park, Somalia, because it's a hellhole. Amid the ongoing scandal, Waltz has been summoned to appear before a congressional hearing on Wednesday. That's going to be tomorrow. I can't wait to watch that old Timmy. Federal charges have been filed against 98 people accused of embezzlement funds. According to the Attorney General Pam Bondi, 57 people, most of them Somali, have already been convicted in a scheme to divert $300 million in public grants, distribute free meals. They lied about it. We all know the story. And then Timmy, I think the reason why they selected him, other than the fact that he wasn't gay and wasn't Jewish, because, that's the Democrat Party. It's interesting. Kamala Harris was the first female, presidential candidate, second presidential candidate, whatever, and there weren't enough Democrats to vote her into office. It's weird. It's like maybe the Democrats are sexist or something. They also didn't want to put Josh Shapiro, he's a joke, in Pennsylvania on the ticket because he's Jewish, And the Democrats have a real problem with the Jews. They certainly do. There you go. And then there was Pete Buttigieg, who is the Secretary of Transportation, who got nothing done because he was transphobic, because he was afraid of doing things successfully as the Transportation Secretary. There you go. Another thing, ABC Learning Center in Minneapolis was featured in a report from Nick Shirley, and apparently the director, Assam Hassan Badasabadabilan, decided to invite the Associated Press back in there because Nick Shirley went over to these daycare centers at 11 in the morning. Nobody was there. And so since that has happened, they say, well, it's because our hours are 2 to 10 p.m. Those are good hours for a daycare center, right? Yeah, you'd usually think 8 to 5 would be. Sure, okay, whatever. Apparently, viewers quickly pointed out seemingly random stock images that were scattered throughout the center on the walls, pictures of families displayed on the wall with the word science above it. They're either stock photos or AI generated, but zero chance they have anything to do with science. They're trying to cover their rear ends because a whole lot of Somalis are going to jail, and then a whole lot of Somali families who said their kids had Alzheimer's, or not Alzheimer's, but whatever disease or. Anyway, they took advantage of the largesse of the fraud. They enrolled their kids in these daycares, never took their kids, and I think they might even pretended their kids had Tourette's syndrome. I have no idea, but they had all sorts of lies. Amy Klobuchar reported considering a run for Minnesota governor after Tim Walz announced the end of his reelection, and she thinks that she could make him a senator when she became the governor. But she has a long trail of government corruption behind her. I won't get into. They're tying her into $10 million in illegal campaign donations with regard to Act Blue and other things. Democrats in Minnesota, I hope, have run their course, but unfortunately there are a lot of idiots who live in Minnesota who still slavishly vote Democrat, and then of course there's the Somalis who are up there. But I do hope that people pay for this. 2,000 HHS, DHS employees in the state of Minnesota, and arrests are starting in the whole deal. And there's no doubt that this is a massive fraud scam. It's going on around the entire country. States like Washington State. Here is Cam Higbee, Washington State. Another state daycare scam.
My decoy and I went to Aisha Home Child Care in Kent, Washington, and she got inside. A corresponding page for Aisha Home Child Care on the state expenditure website indicates that this place has raked in $753,053 since 2022.
Wow.
We matched the address on the business card given to us with records for an Aisha Home Child Care on the Department of Children, Youth, and Families website for Washington State. The DCYF indicates that this place only serves 2 children.
Yeah, my mom ran 2 daycares. No government aid. She did it all herself. She charged the people who were enrolled in the daycare to take care of the kids. She fed the kids with the proceeds that she got for running the daycare. She did a brilliant job of it, and she didn't do any of this bull crap. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show.
There's no place like jail for Kelly to stay. Alyssa Slotkin should be there too. Their sentencing will be a happy day, 'cause they broke the law and they will get their due. I'm watching Jason Crow on CNN. He is looking scared, trying hard to dodge the FBI. Miss Houlihan looked nervous. She was unprepared. I will be delighted when they're all indicted, 'cause there's no place like jail for those 6 to stay. In a cells where all of them should be. A court-martial, it could come any day. Lock Mark Kelly up and throw away the key. wants me to testify about Jeffrey Epstein, but I've got lots to cover up, if you know what I mean. They'll ask me about the island, on what went on down there. I could go and tell the truth, but I wouldn't dare. I am dodging subpoenas, and so is my wife. We will try to dodge them for the rest of our lives. We are dodging subpoenas. Comer says we'll fail, 'cause if we keep on dodging, he will send us to jail. We are dodging subpoenas, could find us in contempt from prosecution. We are not exempt. We are dodging subpoenas because we are afraid.
FM in Harford County.
I had the honor of being noticed by the President of the United States, who called me a very, very liberal / communist mayor.
You are. Oh my God, that is the new Katie. Katie, she's the new mayor of Seattle. She's 43 years old, and her mom and dad still give she and her husband money because she has never been able to make a living. Oh my God. You've got Lord of the Flies meets Animal Farm going on in New York City and Seattle. There are a bunch of children running the cities. Not kidding. Not kidding, a bunch of emotionally and mentally stunted children who got together while everybody else slept and got a bunch of money from outside sources like George Soros and got elected. And the cities are going to go to hell. They are. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Seattle's new communist mayor, Katie Wilson, orders police to stand down on open drug use. She has effectively ordered the police to stand down, turning the once vibrant Emerald City into a dystopian nightmare of needles, overdoses, and unchecked criminality. It used to be that a generation would forget about the failures of socialism. Now it's a year later. They're repeating the same stupid crap. Officers now instructed to divert all drug possession and use cases away from the prosecution into the law enforcement assist, blah, 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 blah. A return to a failed ideology that defined Seattle before the legislature was forced to restore drug possession laws. For all of the talk of learning lessons, Seattle once again choosing diversion over enforcement. This is what they're doing again. And literally, now it's not a generation that separates ignorance. It is actually a year later. Here's a report.
In tonight's Project Seattle report, some call it a double standard as Seattle fails to follow its own rules. A homeless camp set up on a vacant property owned by the city, and neighbors say there's been little effort to keep people out. KOMO's Joel Marino joins us live now from West Seattle with a look at the problems that have been ignored for months. Joel.
Yeah, Steve, cleanup crews were here just days ago, so the tents are gone, but neighbors, they worry it won't last. They say the people living here, they broke this window to get to this.
Talked about it for a while. Been talking about it for a while. You listened to me all last year, watching the price of gold through the ceiling, and it's still going. It's still going. So if you want to convert an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold, you're still eligible for a rebate up to $10,000. I don't know what else I need to do here. Do I need to do some sort of dance? Do I need to take off my shirt for the ladies and some of you guys? Because I have been working out. You really need to text my name to get information, okay? Just text my name, Rob, to 989898 to Porch Gold. Can take advantage of a rebate up to $100,000 when you buy by January the 30th. You got a bunch of money in a 401k that's just lying there? Why don't you do something about it? Text my name, Rob, to 989898 for Birch Gold. This is Sia Weaver. She has never owned a home in her life. She probably is still paying her student loan for a worthless degree, but she's the new New York City tenant advocate who is calling to seize private property, which is what Maduro did in Venezuela and what, of course, the Castros did in Cuba. But she's a stupid ignoramus.
I think the reality is that for centuries...
Oh, my God, she's an uptalker, too.
We've really treated property as an individualized good and not a collective good.
No, it is an individualized good, you idiot.
And we are going to transitioning to treating it as a collective good and towards a model of shared equity will require that we think about it differently. Yeah. And it will mean that... families, especially white families, but some...
Oh, that's racist. Oh, yeah. Oh, she's going to be in all sorts of trouble.
POC families who are homeowners as well are going to have a different relationship.
Just try and bring that crap my way, sister. Just try and bring that crap. Here's a little bit before she got named as the tenant advocate who knows D word for Richard about property ownership.
Democratically controlled public housing is really important, and that's why when Raquel is talking about the communities and that she's describing, that that's a created community where the people who are...
Oh, please, shut the hell up. My God, you are a child. You are an ignorant child. You've never owned a home. You've never owned anything in your life. You don't know anything but what liberal academia taught you. You're a moron. Here's Harmeet Dillon talking about, oh, really? You think you're going to discriminate against white people? That's illegal.
Just because you're white doesn't mean you have fewer rights in this country. We all have equal rights in our country, and we will not stand for New York City violating any federal law whatsoever. Yeah. They should be on notice. They are on high scrutiny, and we will swoop right in and do what's necessary to protect all citizens and taxpayers and residents of New York.
I'm going to tell you, somebody who was born and raised mostly poor when I was a kid, my father and my mother, we raised all of our own produce. We worked our asses off. I've done every kind of filthy job you can imagine. I've shoveled every kind of feces in my life. I'm so done with this white privilege bullcrap. And there are a lot of people who live in poverty still today. More white people than any other in the country live in poverty. And I'm sick and tired of these entitled jackweeds now saying, oh, yeah, you work your ass off to own a little property, maybe live in a trailer. And that's too much for the Democrats and these idiots. It's going to get real big and really ugly for New York. Police are walking off the job. Firefighters are walking off the job. It's going to descend into chaos. Snake Plissken, where are you? Probably put the snake, snake call in the air to get him to come and help out. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer joins us next to talk about Venezuela, Iran, and more. Don't go anywhere. My nightly ritual now is a little ice, a little vanilla yogurt, banana, a little milk, and a scoop of chocolate brownie Beams Dream Powder in the blender. A little while later, I hit the sack and I sleep until sunrise. It's amazing. These days, everything moves so fast, and it certainly can mess with your sleep schedule. That's why I'm here to tell you about Beams Dream Powder. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients, including reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. I've been using Beams Dream Powder for a year now, and I can honestly say I feel sharper, calmer, and more focused, and I'm not alone. Beam has improved over 28 million nights of sleep for people across the country. So if you've been waiting for the right time to try Dream, this is it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax. Use code Newsmax and take advantage of my exclusive offer for 40% off. You can get their best-selling Dream Powder for just $39. So seriously, think about it. Go to shopbeam.com/Newsmax today. Hey guys, it's Carson for Relief Factor. You know, I saw an ad for Relief Factor a while back, and I saw a guy literally in tears with how he talked about the pain that he was experiencing was gone. It happened to me too. I started it taking a few months ago. My hip was really bothering me, and I wondered, because I'm the age of, replacement of joints and whatnot, if it could be better. And I started taking Relief Factor, and it healed. It's a 100% drug-free, research-based formula created to help your body's natural inflammatory response, the same one that causes everyday aches and pains from aging, exercise, overexertion, and just normal living. It helped me with my hip, my neck, my shoulders, all the places that remind you you're not 25 anymore. Relief Factor supports a healthy response to inflammation, helping you stay active and keep those joints and muscles feeling good. It's made with 4 key ingredients: omega-3 fatty acids, resveratrol, curcumin, and icariin, each one helping from a different angle. You can start with the 3-week quick start for just $19.95. That's less than a cup of coffee a day. So if you're tired of creaking like an old floorboard every time you move, give Relief Factor a try. Go to ReliefFactor.com. That's ReliefFactor.com and feel the difference. Relief Factor, because getting out of bed shouldn't count as a workout.
Drugs transported by boat, Venezuela. You best take note. Cartels, they're having fits 'cause they're men. They were blown to bits. The drug boat, it now resides on the ocean floor. The drug boat, Marco says we're gonna take out more. Yes, their lives are in danger if they take another chance.
I will say this about Greenland. We need Greenland from a national security situation. It's so strategic. Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security. Yeah. And Denmark is not going to be able to do it, I can tell you.
Yeah, Denmark. I think they got wooden shoes over there. Yeah. That's Donald Trump talking on Air Force One about Greenland. I know you're probably thinking we're going to start immediately talking about what's going on in Venezuela with, Maduro. But I thought I'd start with Greenland because I wanted to ask somebody who knows their stuff much better than I do. That is Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, the president of Project Sentinel and a 2020 Trump campaign advisor, joins us on the Newsmax hotline. Happy New Year, brother. How are you?
Happy New Year, Rob. Thank you. Well, I hope you're doing well, too.
My brother, I am doing very, very well in Washington, D.C., in what I believe will be one of the most historic years economically for America and with regard to freedom around the globe. I believe that in my heart of hearts, brother, more than I ever have. How about you?
Well, I think that President Trump is laying a solid and enduring foundation for what I think you would call a golden return, because he loves gold, and so do I.
Yes.
And I think he's touching all of the necessary pieces first. He's looking at high technology for what we need to do regarding advanced intelligence, AI, artificial intelligence, things like that. Secondly, petrochemicals, fuel.
Yes.
Liquid gold. All the stuff that we need to have to run the economy. He's opening that up. Prices are coming down. Third, he's very cognizant of what we need to shape regarding the world. And America first doesn't mean this is one of those things. America first doesn't mean we don't work with other nations. It just means that we look at our interests primarily.
Yeah.
And then fourth, he's been, I think, building an enduring trade relationship based on where we sit within the world. And these things are going to be something important because he wants Venezuela to be great. He wants all these nations to be great, because when they're great, they can work as cooperatively.
A strong America is strong for freedom around the globe, and it makes the despots. It makes the despots. What about Greenland, though? What are we going to do there? Because I know that China, Russia, trying to establish a footprint around there, and the United States needs to put the foot down up there. What are the possibilities? It sounds like the people of Greenland are kind of down with it. Denmark, not so much, but Denmark is a pimple on my butt. So what about Greenland?
Well, I got a question on Australian TV about this earlier, because they're a bit worried. It's like, I wouldn't worry. I mean, yeah, it's uncharted territory, but it's not like the United States has not had a long-enduring presence in Greenland. I mean, one of the jokes, Rob, in the Army is that if you screw up bad enough, they're going to send you to our base in Thule, Greenland. I mean, it's true.
The Western Front.
That's right. So we've been there since essentially the beginning of World War II, and we've always stayed. During the Cold War, we still have great interest there. So he's correct about the national security interest. The thing is, Denmark didn't really care about Greenland until we started caring. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was in their attic, and they really weren't concerned about it. But the moment we start showing interest, we want it.
Exactly.
So I think it's a bit of artificial outrage by the Denmarkians. What do you call Danish?
Danish, yes, the Denmarkians.
Yeah, the Denmarkians. So I think it's time that we just kind of move forward with what we want to do. And I think a referendum, I think the people would choose to be with us. I think they choose to be American.
I do too. And imagine what the global price of ice would do. It would go way down. It would go way down. So let's talk about Maduro. It wasn't a regime change because the vice president took over. She ordered the police to go after Trump people who whatever, Trump advisors or whatever in the country. That's not smart. There was gunfire in the streets. What is next? We clearly are not in a war. We clearly are not. This was not a regime change. But what happens if this idiot decides to punish the people for wanting to be free?
Well, that is happening. I mean, you have people, much like when Libya fell, you have kind of tribal rivalries that go back years. I mean, remember, some of these people have been essentially sat upon by the regime, and so that's why when they go out and celebrate, they're trying to come after them. So I think that's something that we have to help encourage or discourage, I should say. With that said, Rob, I've been saying on our channel, Newsmax, I think we have far more connections with the leadership there, to include especially the military, than we're letting on. Because it seems to me that, while I'm not diminishing, obviously, as you know, I was with Secretary of War Pete Hegseth yesterday. I'm not diminishing anything Pete or the team did. I said to his face what an amazing operation it was.
My goodness.
But I what I'm saying is, I think there was much more duplicity by the Venezuelan military than has been acknowledged, because I think some of them wanted Maduro gone too.
Yeah.
So I think right now it's a sorting out process. I think we'll know more in about 72 hours.
How do we avoid devolving this into some sort of long-lasting conflict in the country of Venezuela that we are kind of have a toe in? How do we get law and order and freedom back to Venezuela? Get the and by the way, we have every right to demand that the U.S. oil companies are able to take back the properties. Because they were stolen by Chavez. So enough of that crap. We have oil leases. They belong to American companies and U.S. taxpayers. But how do we avoid a long conflict here?
And by the way, that's a quick note. Apparently the warmth of collectivism didn't work out for U.S. oil companies. Just saying.
Yeah.
So no, I think we need to work with local proxies. This is one of the things that I think we screw up all too often. We know how to establish to work with countries who have strong leaders. We just got to let us do it. One of the few situations which actually worked out for us is actually South Korea. South Korea became a flourishing democracy with our partnering with them more than us being them. So we can't be them. We got to find people who are willing to make the investment in their own political system to move it forward, to work for the people. So we got to find.
Well, how do we stop slaughtering? Like, for instance, in Iran, Donald Trump said, if you start killing people, we're gonna kick you in the ass. So how do we get involved with that legally?
So the legality of it is going to be a challenge. Just saying. The reason to do it, though, is pretty clear in that they have a theocracy who is essentially been ruling that country with an iron fist since 1979. Since the Shah was removed. With that said, I think there's things we can do. We're continuing to do economically. Remember, Rob, about Iran. Iran, while it produces a lot of oil, they can't refine it. They've got to go to other countries to get it refined. So, and then water. I don't know if you knew this. You probably did. Water is in short supply because of their agrarian model requires so much water. The people are starving of water. So, if you recognize vulnerabilities of their own system and you act on those, we don't have to be the ones to go in there. The people will act in their own interest. That's what I believe.
Well, Tony Shaffer, I'd love to, if we can stick around. I know you're a busy man. Can you stick around for the next break?
Sure.
All right, because I want to talk about Iran. I want to talk about Cuba. Because Cuba Libre, I think it's going to happen. Let's take a break and come back. Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer on the line. We'll continue the conversation on the other side of the break. This is the Rob Carson Show. is the Rob Carson Show. You know, today's an anniversary. Did you know that Frampton Comes Alive? This isn't Frampton. This is Ted Nugent. But Frampton Come Alive was released 50 years ago. I met Peter Frampton a couple of times when I lived in Cincinnati. It's a great record. It's a great album when albums were great. I'm sure that Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer is jammed to Frampton Comes Alive, certainly when he was in high school, when he had a kick-butt car and a stereo set. Did you?
No. Rob, I didn't have a car in high school because I was in Lisbon, Portugal.
What?
So
Oh,
we had to ride the train everywhere, which was good because we were drinking and drunk half the time. So
yeah, well, you were hanging out with a lot of lesbians over there, I guess, right?
That's we had a lot of fun doing that, too.
All right, so we've got a lot of things happening. Freedom, hopefully, for the people of Venezuela. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of Hispanics around the world celebrating this. The Democrat Party hating it. It's so stupid. Because the Democrats hate what they can't be, which is successful and powerful. Honestly, they can't do it without force. They can't do it with stealing elections and buying people. That's what they hate. That said, Iran. Right now, you've got some hundreds of protests going around the country. Now, in some of the little enclaves, the police are joining the protesters. How long does the Ayatollah have?
I think it's a matter in Cuba, too, by the way, because
yes,
I think
that's
there's
next.
a lot of internal challenges. Like I said, centers of gravity, which are failing. So both countries have an economy which does not really exist. It's a central economy. Both cases, one is Islamic theocracy, one is communist, and it's very similar. I think people see that they're very similar. Anyway, for the Ayatollahs, they're slipping. The power is slipping because they're not getting plane loads of cash from Joe Biden or Barack Obama. And so because they don't have those resources, they're limited to trying to manage what they have internally, and it's not much. So the Persians, are very much tired of having these theocracy, the theocrats, these mullahs, manage their lives for them. They're very much European in their culture.
Yes.
And I think it's just to the point of where the resource issue, the fact that the goods and services are not even available, that the merchants, what's really different now is the merchants are the ones revolting, not just the people. So once the merchants start saying, hey, we're not going to be, we can't buy, sell, or give services, it's all for the country. I think it's going to fall within about 2 months.
I would say before that, what is it, the dinar that is the currency? And it used to be 72 dinars per dollar. Now it's 1.3 million. So wheelbarrows of cash. Where have we seen this before? Where inflation is so bad you got to bring a wheelbarrow full of currency to buy a loaf of bread.
Yeah,
never ends well. Never as well. And I think Cuba is definitely teetering because now everything's gone. The source of income is gone with Venezuela falling, and the same goes with China. China's in a whole lot of trouble because they got most of their oil from Venezuela. That's going to majorly impact like their ambitions on Taiwan. I know that Glenn Beck talked about. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, it's a great point. So to mount an invasion of Taiwan is hugely problematic. There's a number of folks out there who have done the evaluation. The bottom line is we would be able to, I think, see it coming, and the very thing we're doing right now would be a huge stumbling block for them because the idea of moving, they probably would need a force of about 600,000 troops, which they have, but it's not the troops, Rob. It's how do you get them there? How do you sustain them? And how do you stop us, the U.S., and our allies, Japan, Vietnam, Philippines, South Korea, from kicking your ass when you're doing it? So it's pretty problematic. I just don't think they can do it, especially now with the oil being cut off. Now,
there were some American aircraft flying into Great Britain yesterday, some of those big gunships and whatnot. There was some debate about what was happening. Some said there's some sort of a Venezuelan tanker in the Atlantic, but isn't that kind of what the Americans did before we struck the nuclear bunkers in Iran?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's some real cautionary recent history that people should be paying attention to, Rob, just saying. So I think if these leaders are wise, they'll kind of get a hint at the fact that, Donald Trump will do the same thing again, and, to meet or exceed his foreign policy goals, no matter what it takes at this point. I think people have got that message. I hope so.
You had a chance to talk to Pete Hegseth yesterday.
I did.
And you've been devoted your life to this country in military service. I got to imagine that right now is a high point for morale, for just this sense of excellence, the end of wokeness for our military. It's got to be signaling the beginning of a new and glorious era that we haven't seen maybe in our lifetimes in the military.
Yeah, so I walk around, and it was kind of funny yesterday. Pete's staff, well, Pete kind of knew I was going to be there. Yeah. His staff kind of played a trick on him. I was dressed like everybody else in street clothes because I didn't get told till the last minute they wanted to see me. So I'm up there. They said, "Yeah, go stand next to him. Go tell him you're here." And so Pete's just kind of standing there getting a brief, and I walk up and I touch his elbow. It's like, man, you can't believe who they let in this place, do you? That was great. Anyway. My point, and then I went on to the speech. My point, and he loves it. I got there's some pictures of this online on my X account if people want to see them. So anyway,
spooky.
And by the way, Pete and I are friends, so we can do stuff like this.
I love it.
This is cool. Anyway, my point being is that he wouldn't give this speech, Rob. People were mesmerized, and I was talking to him before and after. It's like, oh my God, we're back. We see the value of our effort, our labor, finally being recognized and appreciated. These people, Rob, have been producing ships for generations.
Yeah.
And they became neglected stepchildren, hated by the last two, by the administrations of Obama and Biden. Yeah. And now they're loved, and now they're valued. And you could see it in their eyes.
Brother.
This was an amazing event.
You know,
he gives great speeches, but I could see it in their eyes, Rob. Oh. They really love the fact we're back.
And then the Democrat Party couldn't even give credit to a job well done in Venezuela. Honestly, they have no chance of winning the midterms. We got to stay on it, obviously, but they are so intellectually and morally bankrupt. They hated our military. They kneeled during the anthem. They said that we should feel ashamed about our history. They put a bunch of transgendered individuals in charge of the military. They brought in wokeism to our academies. It's a joke, and we've moved beyond it. Thank God. 2026 is going to be the greatest year, I think, for patriotism, the economy, and freedom in the world that we've seen in our lifetimes, Tony Shaffer.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
All right, brother. Where can people find all your glorious work online?
Well, like I said, go check out my X account for some special pictures of Pete X10 and me.
All right.
Otherwise, ColonelTonyShaffer.com. Thank you, Rob. I always enjoy our conversation.
God bless you, brother. Take care. Let's take a break and come back. This is the Rob Carson Show. Yes, I'm wearing plaid. That's Mo MI67. I thought I'd do some layers today, try something up. You're never going to see me wear a tie every day. I started wearing a tie a little bit for my TV show. I don't like wearing a tie. I don't enjoy it. If I speak in a tie, I'll sound like I'm wearing a tie. It's like why I sit during my show rather than stand during the show. When you talk as a performer, it's different when you're standing versus sitting. Sitting, you're relaxed. Standing, you're something else. Stand-up comedy is great because you do stand-up. But there's a time also to sit and have a conversation. That's why I do that. Rumbly Roo. Woo! Beck Ottenberry, good to see you. I call it the Rumbly Roo over there on Rumble. Good to see you. Dan Bongino's going to be returning to the air. It'll be good for Rumble. I'm glad for him. He sacrificed a lot for that year that he was there at the FBI, and I think he did a great job. I know him. I've known him for a while. Dookie Bear says, Mom loves it when you wear that plaid shirt. Hey, tell your mom. Wink, wink. How you doing there, baby? Looking good, Rob. Kathy, thank you. You know what? The only problem is, here's where I gained the weight. And you can tell that I cheated on my diet over Christmas. This is going away. I'm getting rid of this. I'm getting rid of it. You can't stop me. It's going away. I might even have it cut off if I have to. I don't even care. But I'm getting ready to get another e-bike. I gave my old e-mountain bike to my daughter's ex-boyfriend who screwed her over. So I got to get a new bike. And I'll be back at the gym today, taping my show today. Just bought gasoline, BJ's Wholesale, South Attleboro, Massachusetts, $2.48. Awesome, good. I got it for $2.12 in the Midwest. I think in Indiana or Missouri. Trying to think where the gas was expensive. West Virginia was high. Here we go.
About 3 minutes.
Crosstown traffic. Love that song. Come on. His drummer was so good. So, McDonald's faces a class action lawsuit over the fan favorite McRib sandwich. Listen, if you love the McRib, that's cool. You've obviously never had barbecue, and that's fine. Honestly, dear God, do you still eat Kraft mac and cheese as an adult? I mean, do you still eat baby food? Jeez, my God, what are you thinking? I said geez, I didn't say the other one. 4 customers claim McDonald's has falsely advertised the McRib sandwich as containing real pork rib meat with its distinctive shape because it looks like a rib. If you've seen one that's frozen, that hasn't been cooked, it looks like you shouldn't eat it. Whatever. McDonald's deceptive omissions and misleading marketing have resulted in millions of consumer harm. No, it isn't. You're an idiot who eats the crap. Then eat the crap. If you think it's actually ribs, you're high. My God, are you out of your mind? Do you also think that the king-shaped chicken McNuggets at Burger King, do you think there's a part of the chicken that looks like a crown? I mean, are you out of your nut? Here's the truth. Consumers believe they're purchasing a premium pork product, but instead they're using restructured pork using lower cuts such as, are you ready? Are you ready? Yum, yum, yum. Pork shoulder, heart, stomach, and tripe. That's the gut, rather than the actual rib meat. McDonald's USA has confirmed it's false, saying the McRib is deliberately a sleight of hand. The plaintiffs, combined with the patty shape, falsely well, they didn't say that. McDonald's didn't say that, but they say it's because it looks like a rib. It's supposed to have ribs. Honestly, grow up and maybe start eating adult food instead of the McRib sandwich. And it's an insult to barbecue. If you still like it, that's really cool. Honestly, that's great. You probably still like Captain Crunch in the morning as an adult. Honestly, the McRib sandwich is so terrible. My God. Ugh. Lived in Kansas City for a good share of my life. The McRib sandwich is a crap sandwich. It's terrible. And that people will wait in line and wait for it to show up on the menu. And listen, I mean, that's fine. If you like it, God bless you. But if you think it's actually rib meat or barbecue, my God, are you out of your mind? One other note. Ford reports best annual U.S. vehicle sales since 2019. You know why? Because they're getting rid of EVs. Because EVs are for posers. And if you bought an F-150 Lightning, it's like the McRib sandwich of cars. What the hell were you thinking? That's going to do it for the show. God bless you, America has founded Donald Trump and this great administration as he makes 2026 the greatest in American history. And until tomorrow, do not catch the stupid or buy an F-150 Lightning or a McRib sandwich. See ya.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.